Right there. Share that. Oop. Click it. Make sure the audio is off. All right, looks like we are up. I can see myself here, and I must be one of the 5 people in right now, which is cool, being part of the crowd. So I'll give it a couple of seconds here for people to pop in if they want to. Just really doing a quick update, trying to do these on a generally daily basis, get most of them in, but oftentimes I end up school visits or community things, and on those days I generally don't. But also if there's interesting weather coming, we generally will as well, and we do have some of that approaching us, but nothing really today, or at least through most of the day, as you'll see here in a bit. All right, so we are getting upwards of a couple dozen people, so that's pretty good. We'll go ahead and start. First things first, we are seeing the clouds moving back in today, which is sad because yesterday it was almost completely cloud-free, which I did tout the day as pretty much cloud-free, and then we saw those little cotton ball ones that pop up in the afternoon. They were probably about 10 feet tall and really didn't do anything more than just kind of look nice in the sky, a little contrast for all that blue. We also ended up with our coolest and driest start thanks to our clear skies and our calm winds. That got us down to right up against the dew point, which was in the 50s, mid 50s, I believe, mid to upper 50s, depending on your location. And that meant a little bit of patchy fog, but like yesterday, again, no major issues with that. Certainly not enough to affect your morning commute, I don't believe, at least for anybody out there. We will see clouds creep in throughout the day. We're already seeing some upper level, kind of the tops of some storms off towards the west blowing across our area. And that is gave us a nice sunrise there in many locations. But that leads us into a rainy and stormy Friday with the potential for severe weather, which we'll go ahead and get out of the way right now. Here's the severe breakdown for today. It was just updated. You can see that we do now have a level 1 risk kind of creeping into the Pine Belt, especially from the south and the west. For tonight, that is very late tonight. As we start heading really into Friday morning is when that really starts to take hold. And then once we head later on into Friday morning, right around sunrise, it switches to this one, which you can see does have a level 2 risk of severe weather for the area. This morning, it was a lot of trying to get me to, on the sunrise show, to compare what we expect out of this one compared to what we had Monday. Which is very hard to do. So we often talk about during tropical season, comparing 2 storms, even of the same category, wind speed, totally different animals there. So it's kind of the same thing with this. One frontal system is not the same as another frontal system. 2 supercells, even in the same area, won't behave the same. There's a lot of internal features that drive those things. So we do have a level 2 risk, which is on par with what we had Monday morning, though Monday morning did have a level 3 for the bottom half of the area, for at least wind and hail. So it's on par with there, I would say, especially for the morning event. It's possible to be a little bit weaker, maybe a little bit stronger for the afternoon event, which is kind of a flip-flop of Monday, but again, very hard to compare these things, and we'll just be watching it through the night to see if it's upgraded or anything like that, because it does look like we will see some strong lines pushing in, and those can be a bit windy, though everything appears to be more updraft dominated than anything else, and that means we're more likely going to see just the wind, and the potential for hail is increased, which is what that little hatching area goes with. You're now looking at more, instead of small to moderate hail, you're looking at more edging towards just moderate, which for this kind of level is upwards of an inch, quarter to ping pong ball size, that kind of thing. So it's something we'll be watching out for. But for right now, still beautiful out there. One of my favorite daytime shots, especially when we've got a lot of blue sky there here at Circle C Tractor, where it's already 78 and feels like 80 as we are starting to warm up nicely out there. And we'll see that southerly wind, which right now is just easterly, will begin to pick up later on, and that's really going to drive the humidity up as we head into Friday. From Petro Nissan, again, you can kind of see those little upper level clouds starting to inch in there. Again, mostly the tops of the storms and stuff kind of going off towards Texas, which does have a considerable higher severe threat than we do for tomorrow with its storms today. And those kind of edging towards the supercell, longer track type thing variety. Here in Hattiesburg, it's 75 degrees, feels like 75. Again, today was the coolest and driest, lowest humidity that we'll have really for several days, at least almost 2 weeks, as the humidity will really kind of go off the charts on us here. Not off the charts really, but considerably higher than it has been the last couple of days at least. So for today, I expect us to get up to about 89, and that is again with increasing clouds. If we don't see quite as many by the afternoon hours as I'm expecting, then that could even edge towards 90. I imagine a few areas will hit that no matter what, as we'll be right up against 90 degrees, 89, my forecast high for the Hattiesburg area. But here comes that rain. You can really see that spiking right around 6 a.m. Slowly building up from there. This morning it was kind of all over the place with the timing. I've been pretty steady on expecting it to move in kind of closer to midnight. Earlier today it was pushing some into like the western end of the Pine Belt by 9 o'clock tonight. We could still see that. You see that 20% kind of over there. Talking about that potential, it really is going to come down to how they hold together as they race across like Louisiana from Texas and things like that as to when the first one gets here. But then we're expecting kind of the more bulk of that to start arriving later on as we head through the morning, through the sunrise show really. It looks like with that first round taking us up towards lunchtime tomorrow. And again, similarly to Monday's system, it looks like we will see 2 rounds with this. A morning round, an early morning one, kind of right around and a little bit before sunrise, and then an evening and afternoon round, which again, I believe may be the stronger one out of this one. But that's still basically a coin toss between those two. The threat is about the same, it seems. I just expect more instability or storm fuel for the afternoon one after a little bit more heating. So the level 3 risk is well off into only west Louisiana at the closest, kind of edging towards central Louisiana there. That level 1 risk was just extended kind of over to us for the very late night activity that may be moving into our area. There's what it looks like for Friday with that level 2 risk. Basically the low itself is going to kind of pass right along here with the warm front swinging through, and then it's going to go kind of like that, giving us that little bit of a warm sector at least for a little bit, especially for the afternoon there, which is what I believe that is. Somebody says, Kathleen Cameron, did I make it for the live? Yep, I'm just kind of, I guess about a quarter of the way through it, just kind of talking about the storm potential, the expected severity of what we'll see moving in very late tonight and into tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then you see it doesn't go too far. It does downgrade back to a level 1, but still somewhat in the area on its way out though on Saturday. So early Saturday morning, pre-sunrise and around sunrise, we could still get that to push through. No, she says, oh no, I missed it. No, I'm still here. We're still live right now. But it does replay it once I'm done. So even if you do miss the actual live portion, you can still get the information there. So here's what it looks like on the radar right now. You can see that area of basically a nice linear storm right there, a little MCS racing across Dallas. They've got some flash flood potential. There's a lot of moisture with this. I do think that's one of the limiting factors. Now, it's not limiting in terms of flooding. We'll see a lot of rain, as you'll see from tonight into Saturday morning. Which could cause some flooding issues, but that's one of the things. If there's way too much rain in the area, it kind of limits how much severe storms can do. And not to say that you don't see heavy rain in a strong storm, but if there's too much of it, it kind of holds it back a bit, and that looks like one of those limiting factors I mentioned earlier. So right now, not seeing too much, just some clouds there moving in. Again, those will continue to thicken. You can see what that may look like here as we head into the afternoon and hit about our high, which, as I said, a couple of 90s showing up there. This particular model trying to price is right me with an 88 for today's high, or again, I went with 89. It tries to do that to me a lot, but that's okay. And even if we're not seeing that cloud cover really building steadily as expected, then we might not even hit 89, or we'll head towards 90 if we get less of that. But now this model's a little bit more in agreement with me in terms of timing, which I always like to see. Now pushing in closer to 11, midnight, that's 11:30 right there. You can see kind of the leading edge of this large cluster pushing into about the Simpson County area. It could go a little faster if it breaks away from its upper level support. It could go a little slower if it kind of gets hung up or something like that. So we'll see that pushing into the extreme western end of the area. Then you see it kind of break up into these little lines as it begins to generate, but a stronger line on the backside there, pushing into the western end of the area about 3 o'clock. Now these will be the kind of gusty storms that, once again, we can't rule out some forced rotation to develop in there. That's kind of what we're seeing from the National Weather Service survey reports coming up over the last couple of days, that there was a lot of straight line wind Monday morning, with potentially at least a couple of tornadoes popping down for short-lived periods of time and then going back up. A couple of those in Lawrence County. We had one yesterday for Jeff Davis County in the Society in southern Jeff Davis County there. And that one was initially determined to be an EF1 yesterday, and then today was updated to just have been a downburst, which is when wind comes down, hits the ground, and spreads out. So from the ground, it looked like it was kind of going all directions. When they got a drone up in the air and could see the aerial view, it was clear it was spreading out in one direction. So that was downgraded from a tornado, but with 105 mile per hour straight line winds. So, you know, straight line wind does just as much, even more damage than tornadoes sometimes, especially on a broader scale. So that could bring us some problems with that. The gusting winds on the backsides of these lines, all that purple you're seeing there, very high reflectivity. I mentioned the moisture. We could see some very heavy rainfall with these lines as they move through. This one passing into the Hattiesburg expected right around 4 o'clock. So I mentioned earlier, while you can't really compare two storm events and say one will be as bad as the other until it's all said and done, timing-wise, it's coming through at a very similar time in the morning. This one kind of pushing in right around 4 o'clock and then making its way towards the east, basically leaving the area by about 5:30 to 6 o'clock. Still kind of in our southeastern third by then. And then once that main line there is through, we'll pretty much be done with the morning round, and then we'll get a little bit of a break, similar again to Monday, how we didn't see too much happen through the late morning and early afternoon hours, and then headed towards 6:30 here after closing in on sunrise. You see that next surge coming out there as the low pressure system itself, the frontal system, arrives, and that gives us again another chance, which I personally believe will be slightly higher than the chance of severe weather during the morning, but it's still very, very close. And even once that passes through, we still see that boundary lingering, which is why that level 1 risk was carried over into Saturday morning. So you're still seeing some high precipitation happening there with high reflectivity. Some of that could be hail once again, but most of it's going to be just very, very heavy rain passing through until Saturday morning, which I know that they have some games. One game tonight for the Golden Eagles. Last homestand. Looks like that one will go off without a hitch. Tomorrow's it's not looking good. We'll say that. We'll see how it shapes up. I would say it would probably be rescheduled if I had to guess. But again, it's best to make those decisions as you get a little closer to that type of thing. And then Saturdays, I believe, gets going at 1 o'clock, which I believe will still be good to go. It's going to be exceptionally damp, as you're seeing some areas, particularly Hattiesburg, on the lower end of the precipitation estimates at about 3 inches, with some getting over half a foot down here in Wiggins. And again, that's over basically a 36-hour period, we'll say. So some pretty good rainfall rates expected. Now that's a model. It's not say that's exactly where it's going to set up, but it does look very similar. First round will be heavier on the northern end, and that second round will be a little bit heavier on the southern, as you see that kind of late Saturday morning and Friday afternoon going to kind of set up in that area. So then we'll be watching for the potential there for the flooding to really get going. So with it coming through again at a very weird time, very early in the morning, especially that first line, always good to have multiple ways to get your warnings. Weather radios, I had a lot of people say they got warnings through those. A lot of people on social media talking about how their app really alerted them to that as well. Of course, also if you live near sirens, you may hear those. But that the app is a little bit better than that because it's more geolocated. For your app to work, it has your GPS. It knows that you're inside that box. Sirens are just activated whenever it's in the county, I believe. So that can give you a warning in that case that you might not necessarily need, even though any strong storms in the area are never a good idea. So that's the two best ways to get it. Of course, you can still grab the app if you don't have one. Weather radio, you have to go buy or order and then set up, which might take you a bit of time. The best news about today is that it's still pretty good. We started down here at great. We're kind of edging through comfy. Again, that humidity starting to rise right there on sticky as things are getting more humid on us. The bad news with that is we're going to surge as we head into tomorrow. Strong southerly wind associated with that front, bringing lots of warmer air, getting us all the way up to about 74, right on the edge of miserable amounts of humidity there. Thankfully, Friday will be a bit cooler thanks to all the rain that we'll get, so that'll help out. But you see that a cold front just really doesn't come through and save us with any drier air. We stay in those upper 60s and low 70s, basically July amounts of humidity there. And you see the temperatures here not really playing nicely with that either, going all the way up to potentially the mid-90s. Factoring in the humidity we're seeing around that time, we'll very likely be seeing the 100-degree heat indices, which we had for a short time a couple of weeks ago, or was it just a week ago? Sometimes I get confused with that. So as far as the rain goes, starting to move in as late tonight, really going to be more of a Friday morning thing. You see Friday basically a wash, that 70%, raining most of your day there, tapering off into Saturday, which will really be more of a coastal issue, at least for the heavier amounts of rainfall and potential flooding. But there still could be some showers and thunderstorms in our area by that time, but it's quickly clearing as we head into the late morning and eventually into Saturday afternoon, which may end up being a doubleheader for the Golden Eagle game. Again, I'm not sure. I don't make that call, but they will, and I'm sure it won't be a surprise to everybody. They'll let everybody know that. So as we look at the 7-day forecast, you can see that rain moving in as late as tonight. If it gets here fast enough, raining most of your day there on Friday, but again, we'll get a break kind of in the middle, so it won't rain 100% of the day. That's what the percentage is there for. And Friday's 40% may even be a bit much. It could be a little bit closer to 20 or 30%. Again, it's going to kind of depend on where it is at that point, and I expect it'll be further towards the southeast, more of a coastal eastern, southeastern Mississippi coastal area. And then after that, the sun comes out, but again, the humidity goes nowhere and it just keeps getting warmer. So that's all I've got for you today. Be sure to stay tuned through midday and stay tuned through Patrick's evening shows to get updates on what it looks like for the severe threat. So far, it has not been upgraded for today. If that's going to happen, we kind of did see today's upgraded for parts of Texas. So we'll see if that's trending in that direction. And of course, you can get his forecast there as well. But either way, I'll be here tomorrow during the sunrise show and possibly a bit earlier if it looks like it might be stronger earlier. So you'll be getting the live updates if need be from there. And of course, follow on social media too, because when it comes to a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings in the area, a lot of the updates will be coming on social media. And then of course, tornado warnings, live coverage, live cut-ins and all that stuff. So if you want to follow me directly, of course, if you're following the station already, they generally kind of share that and spread it around, but you can follow me directly at Ryan at Mahan WDAM on Facebook. Just kind of put that in the search bar and you'll see my picture kind of doing exactly this right here at this very podium. And then on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Ryan Mahan WX, which is the abbreviation for weather, if you didn't know that. A little trivia for you, all one word. So I'll let you go ahead and get back to your day, and I hope you can enjoy it, because again, it's sunny at least for now with lower humidity, but it's only going to go up from here.